owing to what has happened, I feel it right to continue, if we can, covering the subject of IDUBBZ, even though we haven't, at time of recording, hit the goal, because I think the subject matter is interesting enough that listening to IDUBBZ try and explain his way with the trolls is one of the more entertaining aspects of his new, improved, and totally reformed character. So, morals and optics was the next topic, which is where we are now going to go.
I briefly want to talk about the concept of being a lolcow, because these losers, they love the concept of labeling someone a lolcow and then bullying them and watching their life spiral out of control.
Which would be applicable if your life was spiraling out of control. But according to you, things are going okay, things are hunky-dunky. It's just a consequence of your love growing every day. You're richer in the heart, not the pocket. And what matters the most, right? I feel like you should be repeatedly warned over and over again that this video is a bad idea because of what happens next. But at this point, I'm not entirely convinced you understand that and think yourself so removed from it that you can just do it in the knowledge that the consequences will feed you a guess as well.
They won't, say as much. They'll just be like, yeah, we just do it for laughs. The whole thing's entertainment. It's just just innocent guys just having a laugh. Thankfully, Anissa and I are in a much safer and privileged position than many other people who are the targets of guys like this who want to bully them into submission.
That is a gross misrepresentation of how lolcows are treated. Some have been in the past, and lessons have been learnt when it came to the likes of the original Chris-chan. Those lessons have been learnt. Drakenlord as well, I guess you can add to the list. You and Anissa are a different kind, and of course you're living in a much more privileged... You're living in a basement of a parent's place in Canada, which is such an improvement for you, right? The guy who had it all at one point and threw it away. It's not about bullying anyone into submission. It's about looking at somebody and laughing at their poor decisions. You may not be able to understand that because you're on the receiving end of it, but you yourself, with your topical videos in the past, did do that. Not everyone is going to sit there and go on some quaint apology tour.
So now I want to look at two different clips from these guys. There is the fat one and his cohort who are listening to Anissa describe, essentially having a hard time online, seeing people mock and make fun of her dad with Alzheimer's.
I'm going to be the first one to say, before you get to your part, generally when it comes to lolcows, I would prefer to only mock the individual. You should not go after that person's family as well. PPP and Andy Warski, or as you dubbed them, Fat One and the Dumb One, cohort, yes, trying to seem smarter than you are is cute, aren't bound by those same rules. You know this because they're on a platform you don't want to use. This response to them is going to invigorate them for a long time. If you keep responding to them after this one, by the way, it's still not going to look good for you, but it would certainly do you some good to consider the morning show with lolcow Live. It really would do you some good, because at least then you're making some money off this.
They were laughing at my dad for getting sick on some of these forums.
What did you think? What did you think? Because you shared it online?
Yeah.
I mean, that's what people are going to do because they want to get a reaction out of you.
Yeah.
I don't think they probably even really believe the stuff that they're saying, but they know because it's extreme and edgy that it will cause you mentally spiral like this. So that's why they do it. And you're telling them that it affects you. So guess what? They're going to keep doing it.
I'm not going to lie. That is one of the most reasonable takes from PPP. I was expecting PPP to be laughing at you. That's what I was expecting. Not for him to actually point out you shouldn't be bringing it up in the online space. You need to know, certainly when you edge closer to being a lolcow at the point when you made those comments, you need to know that sometimes you don't fight the internet and keep some things to yourself. But you also have to consider another aspect of this, and that is those who support you. People like to hyper-focus on the negatives that happen in their life. They draw inspiration from them as a reason to allow themselves to be held back. If you've paid so much attention to the negatives and not the positives, you are yet again looking at this the wrong way, and you are forgetting those who cared.
This is how the internet works. It shouldn't be, but that's how it is.
So is there anything he said there that's wrong? He's not justifying it. He's just pointing out that is how the internet operates, and that he has a standard in that respect, but also understands why it happens. Let's see how IDUBBZ takes it.
The whole time, he is not saying that he is a perpetrator of bullying her. What he's saying is that other people are doing that. But he is doing it actively. In this video, he is bullying Anissa. And in other videos, he's literally bullied and made fun of her dad who has Alzheimer's.
So I'm going to be that guy that has to point out, if you really wanted to throw him under the bus quickly, you didn't need his earlier statement first to show him being reasonable. All you needed was the latter. I understand context, but since you've been cherry-picking them both earlier anyway and out of context, this one is a bit of a swerve, really, isn't it? But let's hear what PPP says, because I think it's right to hear it at the same time. Yes, I'm slightly contradicting myself. I'm aware of it.
With a late-stage dementia patient who is a extremist Muslim, and he sees his daughter covered in tattoos, married to IDUBBZ the cuck, and he just freaks the out. IDUBBZ is having to take him on walks through the neighborhood, talk to this demented guy.
So this is something that he's very familiar with. But for some reason, in this moment, he refuses to take any ownership of the fact that he is part of the problem.
I don't mean this as any offense towards you, IDUBBZ, but he does not need to take any responsibility when it comes to mockery, when it comes to joking, because as he himself put it, the information was put there by you and your wife. I, of course, agree it is tasteless, which is why I hold a standard and don't do it. This is not a shared standard. His earlier statement and sentiment was correct. He didn't at any point state that it meant he didn't have the right to do it, though, did it? Unless you cut that part out.
Like, that's what people are going to do because they want to get a reaction out of you. So that's why they do it. And you're telling them that it affects you.
He doesn't want to admit it, and it makes you wonder why. And we get a little window into that at the end of the clip.
This is how the internet works. It shouldn't be, but that's how it is.
He says in this moment, it shouldn't be.
This is a fair use interruption. I do apologize, but I have to because there's a larger point we need to hear.
Why the f do you think he says it shouldn't be? Could that be because it's wrong and it's a mean, evil thing to do? To acknowledge that someone is suffering and deciding that you are going to attack them online continuously for the thing that they are, either insecure or struggling with?
Now, while you have evolved and grown as an individual, you still haven't quite become the moral authority you'd like to think you are in this area. Going defense for your wife is hilarious when she is, as you yourself stated, the voice, gobby, loud, obnoxious one, yeah? I understand this is your platform and I get that, but this tells us your wife can't defend herself. But you're meant to be the cuck, aren't you? But then when you do defend, you come across as one.
It's plain as day that he's part of the problem, but he refuses, like a coward does, to take any responsibility for him being part of the problem. I don't think a lot of these commentary channels want to be held to a higher standard. I think they want to comment on the strategy of things, and they don't want to reveal too much of their own morals or principles.
They don't have to. That's the point. If they share too much about who they are or their life, they then become like you. You want everyone to be open, transparent, and laid to bear in this context. That's not how this works. Everyone has weaknesses. Mine are on my channel. I've never hidden that fact. You and your wife, over the years, have shared more and more of yours, coupled with the, whatever this is that you are now, your evolved and final form, just leans in further into the lolcow status that you have. You may not like that, but that is the price you pay for trying to mess with the internet. You did that. And annoyingly for you, you're never going to be able to claw that back. Trying to find a way to weasel out of that status is amusing. And it's a deflection to think that the internet, or anyone else who commentates on you, because those pesky commentary channels have an opinion, should also be sharing themselves as well. Everyone knows boatloads about Andy Warski and PPP. If you did a modicum of research, you'd know that already.
This next guy is the perfect example of what I'm describing. He is being very critical of me talking to a therapist. And by the way, that wasn't even a therapy session. I just happened to cry in that moment. And I was like, this might be able to communicate authenticity. so I'll include it.
This is another fair use interruption. Just before he plays the clip, I'm going to state I'm grateful enough I'm not one of the people that mocked you for this crying. I did find it odd you'd put it out there because of where you were going, because we knew it would be weaponized. We being me and all my imaginary friends.
And then Ian goes on a podcast with a therapist and gets extremely real with him, which is a profoundly stupid idea. Like eating with your mouth full on camera. He of all people should know better than to go on a therapist's podcast and vent about his very real problems on a public forum like that. Because people will use that information against him. Like this.
How is it that everyone that's saying the right thing is suddenly the wrong person? I don't understand how to process this. There are things I struggle to process. This is one of them, okay?
This same person live streamed his own therapy session where he actually cried.
If you're going to be a hater-ass bitch, take it the full way. Take responsibility for having the opinion that crying online is pathetic and weak. Don't say, I am the enlightened centrist, and other people are going to make fun of you for that.
Because people will use that information against him.
People will use the information against me. Who's people?
Literally everyone that laughs at you. You know, like PPP and Andy Warski. Anyone else that covers lolcows like yourself. It's a vague term on purpose. Your, oh, but who's people is redundant. You know exactly who, you just refuse to acknowledge their existence. Because you, for some peculiar reason, think yourself above it. You're not. You're just like the rest of us lowly oik pleasant plebeians. Peasant plebeians. Alright? You're no different. You just think you're better, smarmier, smirkier, smarter, all those other words. Yeah. Because of your viewership and your sub count. All of which mean nothing to you now, because you've got bugger all to show for what you've accomplished.
I'm pretty sure you're people. You're the one who's playing this clip. You're the one who's making this video called the most toxic wife. I don't know why these pussies don't accept the full troll mask.
You didn't watch the whole video, did you? You know how I can tell you didn't watch the whole video? It's the same way everyone else can tell. You've gone into watching clips of that video alone, and what you've taken from it is, either they're 100 or they're 0. They can't be anywhere in the middle. They can't show compassion, understanding, and empathy. If they're going to criticize me, they should go balls deep. That's your thought process. And you've gone with the title and a clip of them being reasonable. As that is enough, as if it's enough of a reason, in fact, to justify being an arse. Which is what you're being. Because you can't handle that your wife's on the receiving end because you're a cuck. Which is the story of your life, really, at this point now, isn't it? I assume you still take super brain force. Extra soy.
They're acting as if being sincere is impossible to do online.
You do realize that's an ironic statement, right? After what you just said, because of what they just said.
It's not impossible. It's difficult in the situation that Anissa and I are in, but we're making that choice intentionally. So you making this bold claim that we are like unaware what happens when Anissa talks about her dad who has Alzheimer's or me crying, like we're very aware that that is going to be viewed as gay and be made fun of by people like you.
I think you're missing the point because you're trying to make this into something that they are being condescending, they are being patronizing, they are hypocrites, ignoring that their point is still factually accurate. And you say you made the choice for yourselves knowingly, which would then speak volumes about the choices you've made to get you to the point where you now live at her parents'. It's a bit embarrassing, really, isn't it? How deep is the hole you dug for yourself that this is where you now are? I feel like your fall is going to go into the territory, and I'm not throwing shade at him when I say this, of where Deaf Noodles ended up going. And I don't want that for anyone. Hell, I don't want it for myself, but some things are inevitable. The difference, though, is some of us are willing to make changes. You are not. Under the guise of strong love. Now, there are more segments, and I would happily go through each one in turn if you guys want me to do that. I know this is a stripped back video, but I'm going to be honest, I don't feel particularly fabulous, right? So the stripped back version is what you're getting. If you'd like a part 3, 500 likes, I'll make another one. Of course I will. If I don't see you on Twitch, by the way, for some Star Trekker later, have a great day, guys. If you can do that.